All right, so we're going to talk about connecting personalized learning and competency-based education. Personalized learning is a big buzzword these days, and it's an important way to think about doing what's best for kids and meeting each student where they are and making sure each student reaches the goals that they're capable of. But it really goes hand in hand with competency-based education. In personalized learning, students are moving at their own pace and learning what they're interested in and creating their own goals, and the teacher is really helping support them through their interests and what they do and how they learn. And in competency-based education, they're moving through the standards and mastering standards at their own pace. And when you get really into competency-based education, students are learning what they're ready to learn and kind of working, not necessarily with anybody else in the classroom, going where they're ready to go. So the strategies that we're going to talk about from personalized learning in this video allow the students to work independently so that they can move through the competency-based education. And when students work independently in this model, it really allows for teachers to do more teaching than before. They're not showing students how to do things, but they're teaching students the different standards and concepts and ideas. So the first thing that we talk about, not the first thing, but an important thing we talk about in SOPs is, in personalized learning is SOPs, standard operating procedures. These are just things that kind of show the students how things are supposed to work, whether it's going to the bathroom or starting a new standard or accessing resources or what to do when the teacher's busy. It's important that they have independence to do things without having to have the teacher tell them how to do it. It slows them down, it slows the teacher down. Standard operating procedures should be created with the students so that they understand it better and they know what's expected of them. If you just show them the things that they need to do, it's not going to stick as well as if they helped create it. And this helps with competency-based education because it allows students more independence because they know what's expected of them. They know what they need to be doing to move through the standards. They know what they need to be doing when the teacher isn't available to help them. And it also sets guidelines for instruction and use of resources. And it really just keeps things moving in the classroom. There's not as much checking in and reminding students how they need to do things because they have the standard operating procedure and that's just how it's done. That's the expectation. The next thing is voice and choice. And in voice and choice, students choose their own learning paths and how they approach that learning path. And students are able to follow their own interests through this. So say a student wants the next standard they're going to learn about is they're a third grader and they want to do fractions on a number line. Maybe one student would choose to do fractions on a number line all with the online instruction. They don't need a pen and paper. They don't need manipulatives. They're able to do it all online and use the manipulatives on the computer and work through it all on the computer. And that's totally up to them. If that's how they learn best, that's their choice. If they're just messing around with the computer, then obviously the teacher needs to step in and help them figure out what's best for them. But another student may maybe watch one video on the computer, an instruction video, and then the teacher may need to meet with them before they do anything else, and then they may choose pencil and paper centers or hands-on manipulatives for the rest of the standard. Both of those students are doing the same learning and learning the same things. They're just doing it in the way that's most appropriate for them. When students have more voice and choice, they're more engaged because they're taking ownership of their choice. I chose this, so I better be learning it, instead of, well, the teacher told me I need to do this, so it's kind of not, it wasn't in my hands. It's the teacher teaching me. Where if they have their own voice and choice, they're able to make better connections because it's something they chose and they're interested in. The next one is PLPs, or Personalized Learning Profile. In a Personalized Learning Profile, students are able to record their interests, their learning styles, family supports they have at school, who helps them, and vocalize their goals. This is important because it allows students to think about each of these things. Some students that in my third grade class hadn't really thought about themselves as learners before, and it kind of put it in a different perspective for them. And then they share this with the teachers and the staff, so the teachers and the staff are on the same page and know what they need to learn and what they're interested in to connect their learning back to their interests and the learning styles that they believe they learn best in. And it helps with competency-based education because it creates a better relationship with students. If you know a student's interest and their learning styles, they're able to kind of relinquish their trust to you and know that, not relinquish, but give their trust to you, and you know that they're on the same page as you because you know what they need and they know that as well. Also, rather than just you knowing them, they know themselves better as people and learners and what they need to do their best learning. And the last part of personalized learning that is huge also in competency-based education and any type of system you use for teaching is building relationships and really knowing your students. I believe it's the single most important thing you can do to be an effective teacher. It helps with behaviors, it helps even with academics, and really goes back to that student trust. If you know a student's interests and home lives and tendencies, they know that you're kind of on their side or that you're able to connect with them and what they know. And in competency-based education, it's important that students move along at their own pace. You're not doing a whole group, everybody's on this standard. So they trust when you say they're ready to move on to the next standard, or if they're not ready, you're not just doing that to have control, but because it's in their best interest. So as you can see, personalized learning and competency-based education do go hand in hand. It's hard to do one without the other. Hopefully this helped kind of clarify how these aspects of personalized learning also fit in with competency-based education.